We're here at the Irvine depot of the British Wool Marketing Board.
Places. Two biggest greys at Irvine will be black-faced cots and mule cots. It's a fantastic product at the end of the day.
Who rolled these fleeces?
I know roll, mate.
This is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
It's not blue face, but blue face type. Staples all week.
Just for the... So that's just one bag done. There's like 12 bags to get through, and that's just from the trailer load I brought in. There is obviously wool absolutely everywhere. I'm sure in a very orderly setup. Big thing, boys, I'm not going to show you a ticket, but there's a ticket there. You can see the back side of it. So that's like a farmer that's better organised than me. He'll write his farm name down and his wool board reference number, I'd imagine, as well, and probably the number of the wool sheet. So they put that ticket on there, and that relates to the farm, the bag, so that when it's all sitting like this, it's easy to sort out. It's not so bad just now because the boys are doing me a good turn here and putting my wool through just now so we can see it. So it's not such an issue that there is no ticket on the bags. But make sure you put your ticket on your bags, breed type, your reference number for the wool board reference number, and the sheet numbers. In fact, yeah, there is still sheet numbers there, they're there. So that's the sheet number, and that keeps it, say the ticket comes detached, it still has a sheet number on it and can be matched up again with that wool bag. Although I wouldn't like to have a ticket I wouldn't like to have a ticket with a 7-digit number trying to find it in here, but that's the theory. So one big thing that we should all know, by we I mean sheep farmers, that we should all know about your shearing and your wool is that the blackies go with the wool outside out, and your crossbred sheep and everything else, I think,
Skin side out.
Goes skin side out, which is so like inside out. The fluffy bit should be on the outside. Yeah. It's just blackies that go outside out, is that correct?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
And why is that?
Well, as far as I'm aware, it's supposed to show the fleece off to its best. Right. And that's maybe going back 2 days when you get blackface, the big long lashy mattress types, big long staples that was maybe 12 inches long, and it really showed off the fleeces to their best.
Yes.
That's maybe what it's going back to.
Because one thing with the blackface, suppose you get like your Hexham type blackies, which are big, long, soft, big long staple on it. Longer staple,
bit rougher, a wee bit rougher, and that's what it goes back to.
Right, okay, and that's the reason why they do that then. And I probably shouldn't ask this question in case it messes anything up, but would it matter if they didn't do it that way? Does it slow you down, like, or do you need the outside of a blackie fleece to grade it?
You don't need it. You don't need it.
Right, you're still just doing the same process?
We will still grade it.
Yeah.
Exact same process.
Right, so you're still going to pull it apart, no straight away it's a blackie, and judge the quality based on the same system you're doing here?
That's exactly what it is.
This is going to be a disaster for you next year. We've just changed the wool industry.
Keep it the way we just discussed it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Is keep putting your blackie fleeces outside out, please, folks. I bet you loads of you just do it and don't even know why you're doing it.
It's automatic.
It's just like, oh well, my dad did that and his dad did that. It's just always been that way. Yeah, and you don't even know why you're doing a thing. So it's interesting to know that that's why we do it. Yeah. It's fascinating.
All the grades are just coming out in a straight line.
Oh, I see, you've just got it written.
3, 4, 5, got it written up there, you've got the cards, you've actually got it 3 times there.
And just to put you on the spot here, what is a 3, 4, 5?
It's a medium number 2.
Of course, what a silly question. So it's a medium, a number 2 what?
It's half bred, it could be Texel.
And what's medium? What's the medium part?
So medium is a length.
Right.
So it's a medium length of staple.
Yep.
It's not a fine type, but it's still soft, still relatively fine. Number 2, it's an irregular quality. It might be, as you can see, when you pull the staple, it breaks.
A bit weaker.
Breaks really easy.
Like the one that we saw there that had a half bred that had been rubbing in the fleece.
Exactly.
So that'd be like...
Exactly, so that's the number 2.
Yeah.
Next door to it is the number 1.
Yeah, and that's about more of a less imperfections.
Yeah. More of a uniform style, and you've got a stronger staple there as well.
Amazing.
So usually when you look right down a line, you can see if there's something not right. If it's went off line, they look really nice.
Yeah.
Looking along that line. Looking along this line, you can see irregular qualities here.
Yeah.
You can see it here as well. Just looking right along there.
And of course, you guys are looking at this day in, day out. So you've got that kind of trained eye where just straight away that barrel that shouldn't be there.
It looks wrong.
Yeah, and you can just check it. I take it you keep these all on it till they're empty.
So keep them on it until it goes to the packing machine. I'll take you over to the packing machine. So once there's enough of one type to pack, the boys will pack it. So you'll take the first sketch, we'll take the card out, and as you can see he's got it up there, 488.
Ah, yeah.
So that's another check. He's also writing it down that he's packed a 488. So 488 is a mule cot. Again, can't rip it. Solid fleeces. So they're heavy. So you're talking 4 or 5 skets will do a bale. So in the bale you're going to get minimum 330 kilos. Maximum you're looking roughly 380, 390 kilos in a bale.
And is it purely the volume of the wool decides the weight?
Yeah.
So if it's bigger, lighter fleeces?
If it's bigger, lighter, as in if it's blackface, if it's 732 types,
yeah.
So that's a really light. It doesn't pack brilliant, so you need to keep the weights down that wee bit.
Right, okay.
330 to 340 usually.
Yeah.
If you go above that, you'll have trouble getting the bands round it and connecting them.
Right.
It's just wee simple.
Aye, just wee things. Just things you learn as you go.
That's all.
You know, you'll pack one too full and you'll realise you've made a mistake.
You've got problems.
Yes, aye, and you just need to work back to you.
And you don't want problems.
No.
Especially on the packing. If you've got a problem with the packing, when it comes to band in a bale, everything's getting backed up. Especially if there's 3 tables down here and they're going full steam.
Aye. I mean,
there's wool coming solidly.
It is amazing just as we're walking about, obviously doing our thing here, and the guys are showing us what's happening. Like, there's guys just everywhere, like working. Everyone's got a system. Things go in certain places. Like,
that's right.
When I come in, I just think, oh, it's just a load of wool sitting everywhere. But there's a system here, and it's impressive, like very impressive.
I mean, there's so many different grades. At Irvine, you'll have, give or take, you'll have over 80 grades of wool.
80 different grades?
Different types.
And these boys that are going can just will pick out 80 different grades? 80?
Some depots, as in your Bradford depot, they'll cover the majority of grades. They'll have even more than that.
It's wild, like, that's a lot. That is wild. Yep.
And the boys have got to just make an instant decision basically on the grading table within seconds where that fleece is going.
Yeah, to keep the whole thing moving. You can't be sitting all day humming and hawing. So pretty hard skill to learn.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's not easy.
You'll imagine you'll get a tune out quite a few times when you're doing that job when you first start.
You certainly do. I've had it many times. As a boy.
Yes. We've all got to learn somehow. And that's a fact. There's another 732 just in, and in the line, and everyone's working a good system here.
So like so, you keep your major grades close to your packing machine because you're getting them constantly. So you'll do a couple of your major grades.
I better go and see these. That must be something good to see here. What's the problem?
Old wool. Get out of here, you're getting into trouble. Last year's wool.
Thought he'd come in and sweeten you all up. What they notice. Is this whole bag last year's wool?
That's last year's wool, yeah. That's what happens. If it's touched the floor with gaps.
Did you shear them wet? No, I tell you what it is. It's just come back to me. I thought, how many of you keep your wool too long? So I thought I'll hold a bag back so we can see what happens when you don't take it in that year. That's what it is. That's what it is. Look at this. No, that's what it was. I kept it back for this. For an example. No, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do this usually. No, I know. But it's so people can see, you can smell it. It's horrible.
If they don't want to hand it in, that's what
What's that?
A word of warning if they don't want to.
Yes, a word. If you don't get your wool in and it sits and gets damp last, is this just go all in the bin or what happens with this?
No, it's just going into an F grade.
An F grade, so it's just like failed? Fail. You're a failure, is it?
We'll keep it in a bag for a year.
If it was dry?
You would need to keep it
up and dry.
On pallets, bone dry.
That would be
It's okay, but this has got damp.
It is coming back to me now. I think there's only one bag like this.
You probably show them wet, eh?
That would be like that has touched the floor.
Yeah, that's...
People will still buy it, but you'll get a lot less for it.
Yeah. You can smell it, you see them fusty. I can smell it.
Fail, I can grade this.
You boys got a cup of tea, Archie, I'll just throw this in the bin.
Well, I don't open the next bag, just can tip it in the bin.
I'll open it above the F grade. You've failed. I'd said earlier, like a kid in a sweet shop here. Like all these years. I tell you, stick with me, son. I'll show you these wee things that you've never learnt before.
You see, this is all line, like one line.
Aye, I was just talking about that. Aye.
Aye, ready to deal.
Aye, and even better, see that.
We'll get a couple of fleeces and we can get up to the boys. And we'll be like, what grade's that?
Take out one of the bins and like, no mate, it's a 338.
Or for a bit of a laugh, we'll go and switch some bins round.
That's what he said. He said sometimes that happens and they know straight away, just looking at them, that's in the wrong line. But they look down the line and say that shouldn't be there.
Oh, right.
Like, but, and another good thing is...
That's a mule cot.
That's a mule cot, you've got it.
I bet you is, isn't it?
That's a mule cot, he says.
You just don't know what he's doing.
Well, you say it's a blackface. That's a blackface. That's a blackface cot. Blackface light grey.
Oh!
And some cots. That's a mule.
That is quite cotty.
He just shears the shape.
That is quite cotty.
Aye, but it's not a mule.
Aye, I know. I was half right.
So one thing they do, I was saying, is that because that's such a popular fleece, they put those lines nearer the thing, and the less common go further back, so it's less clever, isn't it?
Right, so Stuart's now got 350 kilos on this bale, so he's going to go through the final process.
Some press that, like.
Can I touch that?
Is that like a... Man!
That's like a solid wall.
Do you know how I know it's not blackface cot?
Does he just tell you?
Because you only take them for the 330 kilos. Is that right?
That's right.
See that? We're learning so much here. Oh, is this how many tubs did you get in this bale?
That would be about 5.
5 tubs.
How high the wool is and how much weight's in them. We usually average about 5 or 6 tubs.
5 or 6 tubs. And what kind of wool was this?
488.
488, which is Croshow normal. Sort of. Yep, there we go.
Doesn't it feel like 350 now?
Go on.
It feels like 350 now.
That way.
Aye.
Tip it up.
You could, it's hard, but...
Aye.
Back into
I ain't that good, I'm just not trying.
Aye. That's incredible, eh? I don't know why, I was just saying, I always had it in my head that the wire almost got wrapped around it somehow and that squeezed it in, but it's the fact that it just holds it down, pressed down, and it's just the release.
That's all it is.
It's all the pressure that holds the wires, which is actually a fantastic idea. It's so simple.
So in a whole lot of this, after 8,500 kilos, comes over here. So we will then close off that lot at 8,500 kilos.
Right.
And then goes to this process. It now needs cord. So we've got a cording machine. So every lot in this building has got to get cord, apart from locks.
Is anyone going to ask what corn is? You might ask.
I know what corn is.
Go on.
You don't know?
Alright, okay. What's coring? I'll say.
So coring, this is a coring machine. That's going to send 2 probes into every single bale.
Right.
And it's going to take a sample of that wool that's in the bale out. It's going to spit it into a wee bag. That then gets sent to Wool Testing Authority Europe in North Wales, where they will analyse it, get loads of information out of it, and this is what the buyers look at when they're buying wool, all this information, and that's a breakdown of every lot that they're buying.
And right, so maybe I missed the start. Is it 2 bags from every lot?
It's 2 cores
Just
two
so one
probes.
bag.
2 probes into every single bale of every lot. So you could have...
Every bale?
Aye. You could have maximum 8,500 kilos. You're looking for a maximum 24 bales on that lot. 24 bales or under.
Yeah.
So every one of them has to get probed.
Some handling, like to get to the end, like some not handling.
If you ever get the chance to go to Wool Testing Authority Europe,
right,
go to it for a tour.
Is it good? I might need to.
It is amazing.
Hopefully they see this and they give me a shout and I'll come down and see it.
Yeah.
And I'm going as an assistant.
So, Robert,
see when you're saying that you stop the line at 8,500 kilos, is that then, would that go to auction and a buyer would buy the whole 8,500?
Yeah,
that's sold as...
That's one lot they will,
that's one lot.
pay for. Yeah.
Aye. And core every bale?
Every bale.
And then they'll see what's in the whole 8,500?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
What is it, mate? No, you go out, it's a fresh cut. See,
Right.
see, I need to redeem myself.
I'm trying to redeem myself, and I think it's a Herdic.
Billy just told him. He did know that anyway. He did know that anyway. And here's a good question actually. What about a question straight off the bat? Herdwicks.
Yeah.
What's that wool like?
It's very, very coarse. It's obviously coloured.
Yeah.
There is a wee niche market there for it.
Right.
There is a use for it out there.
Is that a swale?
That's a swear.
He's loving it. He's loving it. Can you get a wee game show out of this? Play your fleeces right. So another great question just came to me, and a massive one for the west of Scotland and Scotland in general, because the UK, for the whole UK then, we're going with the whole UK, is the rain and wet sheep and shearing wet sheep. We've all done it. We've all shore wet sheep. I've done it and I put it in the bags. Not this year, but last year. And it'd just be interesting to know, when you get a bag in here for the wet fleeces.
That's a problem.
Yeah. What happens?
So basically, if the wool has been packed wet, the bags have been sat on farm for, whether it's a few weeks, maybe a month, the wool will have rotted. It will start to rot.
Right.
So it is, you don't get a lot of money for it whatsoever. So basically, if it's dry, it's damaged.
Yep.
It's in a damaged grade. If it's wet, as long as it's not damaged, if it's wet, that will need to go straight to scouring.
Okay.
We can't do anything with it. We'll be able to get a bit of a return for it, but again, it's lesser value back to the producer.
It's just
So looking after your wool, it helps.
yeah,
It
it's a
really
bottom
does.
line product. I appreciate some boys, obviously situations and that, things happen that some wool does get wet, and we understand, you know, it happens, and it's a hit that they're willing to take because the staff's all there, the rains came on, it might have taken forever to gather the sheep and you need to get them away. These things happen, but it's just interesting to know that it does have a big impact. But I think we knew that anyway, because we all know the wool's meant to be dry for the bag, so I think we knew that anyway. But it's just interesting to actually hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah,
Is that right, calling you the horse?
definitely.
This is the horse.
Definitely.
But what happens if you're mixing your breeds in the wool bag?
So mixing the breeds, it can give a grader a headache, depending on the types of wool it is.
We're going to cause real uproar here because you're going to say actually it's not that big, it's not the end of the world because the grader sorts it out. Is that what you're going to say?
No. Well, they will sort it out.
Aye.
The grader will sort it out. But see if you're putting coloured fleeces in with your white fleeces, for instance, in the same sheet, fibres, grey fibres can go into white wool. So then that's less on the value of that
The
white
good fleece.
Yep.
Because they'll mix together.
Again, keep grey separate from white.
Yeah.
Keep them separate. The grader will go through every single fleece as we've spoke about, and it will separate it. But if you can keep, as in your blackies, separate from your mules, separate from your finer types, it helps. Hugely,
massively.
Hugely.
Yeah. It's a decent thing to do almost. Like it's not that it's going to affect the price massively. It's just bad form, really.
Yeah.
I can imagine you boys in here just been like that, opening that bag up and going, "Who's that?" Looking at the ticket, going, "Archie Patterson." Would somebody phone him? That's the third year in a row. So that's us finished our tour here. I hope you've enjoyed that video. Honestly, like kids in a sweet shop here. Archie and I have just found this absolutely fascinating. I mean, I just can't get my head around the fact that they handle every fleece, grade it, put it in the batch and bale it the way they do, and all this wool sitting here, this 1,000,000 kilos. Like what a facility this is. and it's right on my doorstep. I'm very fortunate and very grateful to Billy and the team here. They've let me come and take this video, and hopefully it's a good promotion for British Wheelbarrow. And just to be clear, it was me that asked them to come here and do this. Like, it's not as if like they're saying come and do this and we'll give you a bung if you say we're great. Like, I messaged them and Billy was good enough to phone and say, yeah, come on down, we'll sort you out and I'll give you a tour and bring your wool and we'll go through it all. So it's fantastic. Thanks very much to the Wool Board. I can't big them up enough. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've got one final question to ask Billy. Obviously, thanks Billy for showing us around.
More than welcome.
Absolute pleasure. One final question to ask him: what is the weirdest thing that you found in a wool bag over the years?
There's been many, to be fair. Sometimes from the islands you'll get a lot of empty bottles, as in whiskey bottles, vodka bottles, cans of beer, right, all thrown into the sheet. So they've had a good time packing them, getting them ready for uplift, and they've just thrown everything in the wool sheet. Just clear up, throw it all in there. Found dead animals. Aye. Big dead badger. The poor cat jumps in the bag for a sleep. Found cats. Yeah. Various things. Aye. I might take the fun out of it a bit, and a dead cat coming out the bag that's been sitting for a couple of months. The badger was probably the worst. Yeah, they're not nice animals in the best of times. No. Fantastic. Yep. There's so much more to wool than what you might have already thought. Certainly what I thought. I genuinely thought we kicked these bags off here. The boys looked at them, said that's a mule bag, and just that all went and get bailed as mule fleeces. That's generally what I thought. So it's been a real eye opener for me. Obviously I'm going to improve my wool for next year after seeing that. Make sure they're all rolled, make sure there's nothing left this year getting damp that's just an F grade as we saw there, and try and get things better. And guys, as always, thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like this one, click the subscribe button, and remember, sell your wool at the British Wool Board. Check, that's Charlie Armstrong's pile there.